Doesn't that come
sometimes when you kind of hit where there was a lot of dysfunction.
Hey guys.
Disorganization,
Oh, we're live. We're live.
Can you see us?
From a positive standpoint, if you get the right attitude and right energy, and they've got that. You're right. The talent levels not changed a whole lot, but they're moving the football on offense. That was to me, a very high-scoring, exciting to some degree.
Miles away from
one
confident.
Of the big storylines
Very
in all
clever.
of college football last week that kind of got lost in the shuffle was that they beat Wake, a really good Wake team. And again, who's the second best team in the ACC? Well, nobody. But the point is Wake pretty good. Should probably beat Louisville, and Louisville was able to get it done. I'm really impressed. And just from how they played Notre Dame beginning of the year.
That was so cool seeing Joseph put the shirt on his story.
Yeah.
They can play it. If Clemson plays
I'm not
well
in front.
and
Super cool.
they're going to win and win going away like they did against Florida
Can you see
State.
the comment? My internet's running slow.
Bye week, just kind of looking towards the end and saying we need to start to do things.
There we go.
Maybe they're hearing all the you're not one of the four best teams.
Oh, hello, Landon.
But I'm really impressed with what's
We
going
got
on.
time.
That seems like the coach hire
Lots of time.
in the offseason.
Not going to start for another few minutes, so.
Since you didn't have, at least the best project on the roster at quarterback, is Juan Pass, who's gone for the year and has been for the past month. You mentioned FSU there; they head back up on the road this weekend. They're going to Winston-Salem. FSU, the loss was not unexpected in Clemson. Based on what you saw FSU and Clemson this past Saturday, where on the Willie Taggart sliding scale of why the loss happened, where was it just the talent disparity, the Clemson A game, or was it more disorganization and confusion?
What ACC game is that, Landon? Is there an American football game going on right now?
What is this
But
nonsense you speak
a
about?
lot of it had to do with that.
What's up, Clayton?
Confluence of things that you mentioned. I think it had a lot to do
We are not.
with that it's Clemson.
Eric's going to come in and he doesn't even know we're live, y'all, so. See what happens.
We're also very messed up with our framing here.
Yeah, where are you?
Trying to fix it.
Sam is in here somewhere.
Can't even see that.
That's Georgia Tech, right, Landon? That's the one good team?
Nice.
You want to go live?
Yeah.
Josh, our framing is real off.
Why?
Who cares? We wait for
10
people.
minutes.
So it's not Georgia Tech, I take it. Okay.
That was a joke, right? You were joking.
No, I thought, I missed the triple option.
Why does this feel like it's so much closer than usual? It's tonight open mic night. That's funny.
What are you going to sing? We can do some karaoke. Oh, I need. Frame it how you like to sing. Good.
Stop. Oh.
Landon, what if we sang a different song every week for money? He said he'll Patreon if we do karaoke. I'm down, man.
My baby
Doesn't-
takes the
yeah.
morning train. She works from 9 to 5 in the.
There we go. I feel like that's not really something I would pay for, one of us singing. But
I love that. Euro Trip, right? The movie.
yeah.
When Vinnie Jones is like the head of the Manchester United fan club, he's
Yeah.
like, sing the song.
Yeah.
Start singing that song.
Yeah.
Yo, Josh on the wrong side of the road.
That movie is underrated.
Yeah, very good, very good movie. Just so y'all know, if you just joined, we're gonna start the podcast soon.
I can't hear you. I muted the mic.
You muted it?
Yeah.
Oh my god, so I can curse?
No.
Jesus. Well, it's pointless.
I need to get a haircut, man.
Yeah, I got one like last week.
I hate getting them because they never do what you tell them to do.
Yeah, it's a dicey process. Yeah, like, unless you have like really basic hair or you know the person there, going to like a Supercuts or something is like very risky.
Landon's like, nope, it isn't muted.
Ha!
That's funny.
So what did I just say then, Landon? It's like coaching. Ha! See, he doesn't even know.
My hair all sticking out of the back of his head.
I agree, very risky. I have weird hair, so I cannot go to a place like that. Get someone that knows what they're doing. Ooh, a higher end men's cut. Oh.
Yeah.
I've not been one to do the
Man,
higher
man,
end
Michael,
of anything,
yeah.
but
Yeah, I was gonna say you're pretty low.
yeah,
low rent
that
on
sounds a little fancy for me, JG. I don't know. Actually, my friend cuts great hair, so I go see her. She does it at her house. It's perfect.
I don't understand the places that give you like a beer or something. It's like, dude, I don't want to drink a beer. I just want
Yeah, that's kind of gross, right?
I just want this to be as quick of a process as possible.
That's a funny. The marketing, the manliness of haircuts is a weird. Is D. Orlando Ledner gonna make any more dumb statements? I don't really have to read the rest of that, right? The answer is yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, that's like asking if the sky is blue or something.
They're 1 in 5, right?
Yeah, they're horrible.
It's funny. Man United fans, like, we're definitely jerks, but I love being. It's kind of fun, you know, like.
Whatever.
And I don't want to pile. I mean, I'm an Atlanta fan. I don't want to pile on the teams, but it's kind of fun to be the one team.
So many of my friends get so butthurt when I'll tweet something like, at least Atlanta United's doing something. They're like, we don't care about it.
Yeah. That's why we do it, so I can lick up their tears, you know?
Exactly.
We're the only Atlanta fans that aren't completely miserable.
Stop being so butthurt.
They're just jealous. They're just jealous.
Get over it.
What is that, keto yogurt?
Peanut butter.
This man is eating peanut butter out of a cup.
Hell yeah.
Going back to last week, that's why Eric can beat up the most Atlanta United players of anyone on Dirty South Soccer.
Yeah, because
he eats peanut butter, he gets extra protein.
Out of a cup.
We made fun of Jay Sam for saying he could take Rometty.
Dude, Rometty would beat me.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Trying to think if I could like legitimately take any Atlanta United players. Maybe Carlton. Actually, I would.
We said Hyndman is because Hyndman is very. He's like 5'9", like 160 or something.
I feel like Carlton and Hyndman. I feel like I could probably take.
On. assume this is going to lead into sort of testing.
Yeah, if you can't take Carlton, you're probably not going to be able to take anyone. Think you could take Alec Can?
Testing 1 2. testing 1 2. I could definitely not take Alec Can. He works for Inter. He's humongous. I shook his hand recently. He has one of those humongous, those huge hands, like enveloped mine.
No, he works for Inter. Is that like an off-season?
He's our goalkeeper, head of goalkeeping.
Really?
Yeah. We have 2. So if he's busy doing professional soccer stuff, yeah. But it's pretty cool to see him out there all the time.
He's busy playing professional soccer.
Yeah. It's funny because we know some of the same people because he's from the same area, but
yeah, I know his brother really well.
Yeah, but I haven't told him that I write for Dirty South yet. That doesn't really matter. I don't care.
His brother works for CNN, Drew, and he wrote a really good climate change article.
Oh, did he?
For their website.
That it's a Chinese hoax?
No.
Well, that's what science says. Everyone knows I'm being sarcastic.
I was going to say, what science?
Alternative fact science.
Are you going to freedomeagle.science.gov?
I'm a lot of freedom with my climate change.
Climate change didn't win World War II, Paul.
Oh, fine bomb stuff. All right.
We ready?
Yep.
What's up, Atlantic?
Let's try that again.
Not ready.
This thing on?
What's up, Atlanta? This is the MOTS Podcast brought to you by Dirty South Soccer in the Palatial 680 The Fan Studios. I am Eric Quintana. Next to me, Josh Bagriansky. And in front of me, Mr. Sam Franco. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening to you, sir.
Good morning.
How are you? We're here on a playoff week.
That's right.
It's playoffs. I don't know. Again, I'm trying to gauge the nervousness of everyone's kind of all over the place. There are people that are straight up we're going down the Braves. We're going down the Braves route.
After the week that Atlanta sports has had, and after what's happened to Miles Robinson, which we'll get into in a second, I'm, and I titled it appropriately, I believe, I'm miles away from confidence.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm miles away from
I knew that was Eric. The second I saw the title of our podcast was miles away from confident, I knew Eric. That was definitely a Quintana-ism.
Before I came down to get Josh earlier,
we were thinking about trying to think of names.
Eric's like, what can we do with Miles?
we gotta fit him in somewhere. We gotta find a way to make it a pun or something.
And it worked. I'm very happy with what you came up with.
I truly am.
Very
based on what's happening with Atlanta sports, based on what's happening with sports that encompass or at least my and are you a Georgia fan?
Nah.
Because I know Sam and I are Georgia fans, so everything was encompassed.
Yeah,
this weekend. Everything lost.
Georgia fans had the worst. It has to be one of the worst few days for a sports fan. If you
include
Atlanta, Georgia, yeah.
Falcons. The
Georgia Tech lost to Duke as well, so none of the football teams won. It was
Georgia State might have been the lone winner in the city then.
And Georgia State's been doing pretty good this year. But
you had what happened. You had what happened to the U.S. men's national team, and it's just a world of hurt for us.
Well, it's not to keep it like Atlanta style too. It's not just that they all lost, and the Braves included it too. It's the way that they lost. You look at the Braves allowing 10 runs in the first inning. That's never happened in a playoff game before.
Game 4.
You look at the way that Georgia and South Carolina game ended, where both coaches were just trying to crap over the other one to see who could blow the game worse. And then the Falcons lost with a missed extra point.
Yeah, and a few bad refereeing calls mixed in there.
Unreal, man. And then, for Atlanta United to have a chance now, it's a one-off playoff game. The entire MLS playoffs now is one-off. So anything could happen. But this is where I think we truly find out if Atlanta United is included in the Atlanta sports curse or not. This is the moment.
I started to think a little bit when I got the news that Miles Robinson pulled a hammy. I started to think that, all right, well, here it is. And then I walked into the studios this morning, and all the guys from 680 were talking about, is this the last week for Atlanta United? And I was like, well, you've seen Atlanta sports the last 10 days. What do you think? So it's got nothing to do with the play on the field, with the individual players, with the atmosphere that Mercedes-Benz is going to be. It's got nothing to do with anything sports related. It's got everything to do with, I guess, sports related in the sense that this city is a terrible or has some seriously bad sports luck, but it's got nothing to do with the play on the field. It's got everything to do with the environment that Atlanta sports has, or at least the fan bases have created around Atlanta sports in the city, and
It's a lot of angst stuff. Very angsty.
Since it's Eric's fault, as we all know anyway, that he is the cause of all of the Atlanta sports heartbreak is actually.
I want to say I
Eric.
didn't actually start watching the Braves until they were already down 10, so not my fault. What did I do toward the Georgia game?
Wait, so you actually continued to watch?
Yeah,
I watched like another inning, and I was like, all right, what do I do?
I flipped it over to Maury.
I forget what I was doing for the during the Georgia game, but I
Need some therapy.
essentially like caught the end of it, and then when I saw the score, I was like, all right, well, I'm not watching this. Falcons very much the same way. I was in the middle of something, and then I caught the score, and I was like, And then the same thing with U.S. Men's National. As I'm watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely awful. I had to kind of turn it off, and I turned it back on at some point, and I don't know. All the sports teams in my life right now are just kind of leaving me. Even Atlanta United, like as much as we are all kind of surprised, and if you're not surprised, you're lying to yourself. That Atlanta United's in second place, and we're looking at a first round playoff match at home. It's still been kind of a disappointing season with all the talk around the team, around Frank DeVore, around all the negativity, I should say, around everything that's gone on this season.
It's been up and down.
It's still been kind of like a downer.
I don't know. Well, there've been ups like
Sure. No. Yeah.
What was it? It was August. The run.
For sure.
That was a great
But
month.
even through those times, there were still down moments. As good as those weeks were, you still had people. And I'm not saying not necessarily us, but people talking about the negativity around the team, the negative aspects of the team, and how they're not performing the same way they were last year. This isn't sustainable. They're scoring less goals than they did last year. They're allowing more goals, all that stuff. Just all the negativity that came around. So this year, I guess I could throw Atlanta United into that Atlanta sports nonsense. Because look, the Braves ended up winning the division, and they got bounced in the first round. So that Atlanta United could very much have that same sort of. Obviously, they didn't win the division, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, the second place team, and one of the, again, if you finish in second place, that's, akin, I guess, to winning the division. Like if there was a Southeast division in MLS, Atlanta would have won it, even though there's only, I guess, really one other team that geographically counts in that region.
Yeah, I would love to be in that division.
I know, right? Especially with the Orlando and their gaffes. I'm not going to get into it too specifically, but if you haven't seen their latest gaff, something that happened in their team shop, well, I'm sure you can go find it. But just continuing to be Orlando.
They missed the playoffs again.
They did miss the playoffs.
Before we dive into Atlanta United, do we want to talk about U.S. Men's National Team, or do you want to save it for later?
Let's end it with that.
Do you want to talk about it at all?
I would like to, but honestly, I think people don't care enough. I think we should leave it for the end. And so if you want to listen to a little, because people have tuned out, man. We are in a super bubble with the 30 people that care, and so let's leave it to the end.
About the U.S. Men's National.
About the U.S. Men's National Team, yeah.
We're going to specify a little bit.
Let's tease the segment, though.
That's true.
Let's tease the segment.
I don't want to tune off all 30 of those listeners of ours.
We'll tease it for later in the show with this. I want to ask Josh, just yes or no, and then you can explain it why later. Is this team going to make the World Cup in 2022?
Don't answer.
I'm saying yes.
I would also like to say that after like a heartbreaking, crushing loss to your team, like after Georgia lost on Saturday, a commercial came on for Six Flags, and my girlfriend has a season pass, and so I look over at her. This is at like 3:30 in the afternoon. I look over at her, and because it was for Fright Fest or whatever, I go, should we just go? And so I went to Six Flags. So if anything, a spontaneous trip to Six Flags after your team loses. So if Atlanta United were to lose Saturday, that game would be.
At least you got the rest of the Saturday to do what you want.
That's what I'm saying. That game will be over by like 3:30, 3 o'clock, 3:30. So you can go find something fun to do to take your mind off of it. But we don't think Atlanta United's going to lose on Saturday.
Are you sure?
Oh.
I don't think so.
I don't.
I'm miles away from being confident.
No!
Look, obviously the injury to Miles Robinson, if you haven't heard for whatever reason, pulls a hammy in the training session after the match for the U.S. men's national team. But you'll often see, if you ever stick around Mercedes-Benz Stadiums, you'll often see the opposing team. They'll have players running up and down the field, so it's not uncommon for Miles Robinson to do the activity that he was doing.
Although interestingly, Darren Neal's voices his displeasure in an interview, a radio interview, saying that he should not have been put in that position. It's hard to say without the full context. Like you said, Eric, I think a lot of people maybe don't realize this, because why would you be looking at what's happening on the field 20, 30 minutes after a game ends? But it's not uncommon for a lot of teams to have, particularly their unused subs, come out and run sprints. And even sometimes you'll see some of the guys that got minutes come out and work on their own and cool down. So it's not like, and again, we're not
like
privy.
cone drills.
No, usually what I'll see them do at Mercedes-Benz is it's basically just a run back and forth between the half line and the end line. And these guys are so freaking fit that's really just like a kind of easy session
I
for
don't know,
them.
suicides or anything.
No, it's not like they're like all out, but it's it's definitely
Yeah.
I wouldn't make it to midfield at that pace. So
Just a brisk.
yeah, so
work
it's
there.
not uncommon. Again, we're not privy to exactly what they were doing or whatnot, but and it's also not uncommon for a club to criticize the international team's handling of a player with respect to health. But as far as
Happens all the
him
time.
running after the game seeming like such a weird thing, it's actually not.
No, that part of it's not. It's still a little unclear though.
It's unclear
whether it was there or whether it was when he was warming up to actually get in the game. Either way, it doesn't really matter. He's injured.
Go ahead. Sorry, Eric.
Listed as week to week by Atlanta United. So I truly can't. I don't think anyone can really tell you what that means.
Let's assume he's out this weekend.
I think what that means is I think it's more likely that Atlanta United, the front office at least, is playing
Head
games
games
with Bruce Arena and New England Revolution to maybe not say, okay, he's definitely out. That would let the opponent know that okay, we need a game plan for the
That's
other
exactly what it
possibilities.
is, right? Because if you say 2 to 4 weeks, New England knows he's out.
Exactly.
And,
If you say week to week,
yeah.
maybe he plays. Either way, even if he does play, which I don't think he is, but even if he does, I guess it depends on the injury. I don't really know the extent.
with a hamstring injury, it's hard to imagine.
If it's
back.
even relatively tweaked, he's not going to be the same player. This is the point I was getting at. He's not going to be the same player that he typically is.
There's one thing you can do for soft tissue damage: rest.
Wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So even if he were to get into the game, even if this is the slightest of pulls on his hamstring, it's still going to affect the way he plays. He's not going to be as fast. He's not going to be as mobile. He's not going to be terrible. He's just not going to be the same player we're used to seeing. You also don't really want to put a player like Miles Robinson in that kind of position where you know what he's capable of. You know that even with the slightest tweak, you're not going to get 100%. Honestly, might be easy. And this is where the conversation kind of just shifts towards more the game on Saturday. How do you replace a guy like Miles Robinson? What do you do tactically, or is it just a like for like replacement, which both warrant a discussion?
Well, and there's going to be decisions back to front to be made, right? The first decision you make is, and I think this is a cut and dry one, although I've heard people go the other way. The first one is, do you stay in a back three, or do you go to the back four that you finished the New England match with? I think you probably stay in a back three because you've got players that are comfortable playing that system from last year. I don't think Miles is a must in a back three, even though his pace is nice. So personally, I would stick with the back three, and I'd slide Michael Parkhurst into that center back spot where he was playing. I thought he's been playing pretty well. If you look at the first 65 minutes of the Toronto match that he played before he took a little knock, that as well as United have defended in a long time. So I think that he absolutely can play there. He's used to playing that system. He reads the game well enough to play in between the right and left center back. So I think you just go Parkey for Miles Robinson and stick with more or less the same tactical setup around him.
The reason I worry about that is, in this game in particular, if you had asked me before the acquisition of Gustavo Bo for New England, if you'd asked me that, I'd be like, okay, I'd be okay with Parkhurst there. You don't think that, Bo and the tremendous run of form that guy's been on. I mean, I think he scored 10 or...
He's one of the best strikers in MLS.
He scored like 11 or 12 goals since his acquisition in July. And it's like, I don't know if I trust Michael Parkhurst to be able to kind of handle that. And that's why Eric and I were talking on the radio earlier. It's like, it almost seems like you have to go with 4 men at the back here.
I don't know, because at the same time, if you play 3 center backs, it actually helps you deal better with a forward that plays like that, because you have 3 center backs to kind of shadow them instead of 2. And you go to the back 4. Of course, New England going to play a 4-4-2, so you're going to have to deal with probably 2 forwards between him and Caicedo.
But the problem is that the back that back 3 is stretched out pretty much all the time.
Yeah, but if you play a 4, then you have 2 center backs going against 2 forwards, so it's 2v2. I mean, I think that's a more dangerous situation.
But you're much less likely to get caught out.
Yeah, and that's going to be the story of this game. Is I think it's going to be, and we talked about this last week a bit, Eric. It's going to be wide open. I mean, it's going to be a wide open game, and I think the space you guys talk about being at the back in the back 3 is just going to be part of this game. Particularly if New England set up the same way. But I've said what my piece. So you guys say back 4.
I don't know.
It's not. I mean, I can get it, right. I mean, you play a back 4. You have maybe Jeff Larentowicz sit.
I feel like for
in
this
front of the
match,
2 center backs.
It just depends on what the overall philosophy for this match is going to be. I assume it's going to be relatively the same as it was.
We're going to play Pogba at left back.
Well, I assume the tactics behind how attacking you are, how much pressure you apply up top, is going to be similar to what we've seen all year.
Yeah.
In that case, that's the thing. I don't know. I don't want to. I don't trust LGP. I don't trust Michael Parkhurst because of how long hasn't been starting regularly.
To me, that's why you play back
regularly.
3, though. That's why you play 3 center backs instead of 2. That to me, I mean, I think like the back 3 sounds bad, but we're accepting the game is going to be open, and you're dealing.
It's not that it sounds bad. It's that there is no backup at all. Miles Robinson was the kind of the safety.
Yeah, it's not like last year where you had the wing backs playing a little deeper in the postseason. We're assuming you're going to have Miram Gressel going wild down the flanks. Okay, but
I'm overall less convinced that it's going to be as wide open as maybe you do, because
you think New England's going to sit back more. We talked about this last week. You think New England's going to sit back more.
I think if Bruce Arena is smart and has watched Atlanta United, he knows that I can really do damage to them on the counter. I think I'm going to have more opportunities because of how often they've been giving up possession in the midfield or in the middle of the field. We saw 2 weeks ago what it looked like when we did go over the top quickly. And on top of that, you don't have Miles Robinson back there to kind of help out the LGP, who is in a bad run of form as of late, and Michael Parkhurst, who, assuming he's going to be the guy that replaces in a back 3, he would be the guy that replaces.
So you guys would go with a 4.
Well, and I also think
with Escobar right, Pogba left, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That was the one concern I had in playing a back 4, so you have to throw Florentin Pogba.
And that is a pretty defensive back 4. Your fullback would stay back. I can see how it's
well, and I think the reason
you're wrong, but I can see your
point. Well, I think one of the reasons that I went that route too is Eric just kind of alluded to the fact that if Bruce Arena is paying attention, then he would know that you can catch Atlanta United on the counter sometimes. And it's like, okay, if that's the case, then how aggressive does Atlanta United want to get into their lineup? And that gets even further down the field, where it's like, okay, are you going to play Pitti and then play Nagby sort of more withdrawn in a defensive midfield role? Or are you going to allow Nagby to kind of play the role that he enjoys playing a little bit more, a little further forward, and bring in Jeff Larentowicz? So that's the thing. It's like, how aggressive is Atlanta United going to get? And is Atlanta United going to check some of their normal aggressive play because, A, you don't have Miles, and B, what Bruce Arena is going to do to attack Atlanta United, or how he's going to.
And that's kind of your next question with the starting 11 is because whether you go back 3 or back 4, we've seen it's not going to be a significantly different system through the midfield. And I think you kind of hit on it, Sam. I mean, we all know Nagby you cannot sit Nagby at this point. He's such an essential part of what Frank de Boer wants to do, and he's been in such great form. So the decision you're left with then is at the other center mid spot. Do you want to go with basically Eric Remedi, who is going to give you more than Jeff Larentowicz in terms of being able to cover ground? Certainly, I think an overall better technical, I wouldn't say better technical, but a little more creativity to his game. Or do you go with Jeff Larentowicz, who you know kind of what you're going to get from him? So that's the next decision. You're going to go back 3 or back 4. You got to decide how you're going to place Miles Robinson. Then you move into the midfield, and you've got Larentowicz or Remedi. I've been on the Larentowicz train for over a month now.
Remedi's been pretty bad.
First of all, Remedi's been way out of form. And I understand Remedi at his best gives you a little more than Jeff Larentowicz because he's able to play box to box. But when you have a team that wants to go forward and attack, to me, I like Jeff Lorenz over Eric Remedi because he's going to sit in that pocket of space in front of the center backs and not try to go, win the ball in wide areas and things like that. So I would go with, obviously, you're going to go Nagby, but I would start Jeff Lorenz at that kind of traditional number 6 spot.
Regardless if it's a back 4 or back 3?
Regardless.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would.
Irregardless. I think you'd say both, right?
That irregardless isn't a word. I was just kidding.
Oh, jeez. And here I am, assuming.
He was all like, oh, yeah,
I just
irregardless.
accepted it. I just accepted it.
I think it is a word. Anyways.
So, yeah, I would lean more. I would definitely lean more Lorenz if it's a back 4, because then you can just kind of split the difference between what I say would be LGP and Michael Parker's, and you get a back 3. If it's a back 3, I honestly, I see what you're saying. I don't know.
You're right.
I go back and forth because I'm like, I want to see this team attack, and I feel like with the Runaway, it's just less attacking, especially in the middle of the field. And then Remedi, you talked about him being a little more technical on the ball, and it's not really technical. It's just
I said he has a more creative element to his game than Laurentowicz.
like Lorenz is like more brutish on the ball.
I mean, he's typically.
Does that make sense? Like he's just more of like a.
Well, he just kind of is more. He's more
even
methodical.
on the ball, even on the ball, he's more of a bash pro than like a anything that can than being someone that can do something with his feet. Like not like 100% full on bash pro even with the ball.
He's exactly what you expect for someone that played 4 years at Brown.
There you go.
Jeff Lorenz embodies.
He is the stereotypical
American soccer player.
Well, I was going to say, we might get back to this later, and we were talking about U.S. national team later on, but on radio, Eric and I were kind of talking about how, at this rate, the U.S. needs to probably go back and just play the way that has been successful for them, which is hold on for dear life and then counter when you get a good moment. Jeff Lorenz is the quintessential example of the type of player I want if the U.S. is going to play like that. Because he's just such a – is he technically great? No. But he's – for his age especially.
You call him technically proficient.
Yeah, but for his age especially, he's super fit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I think – I mean, to me, would you go Remedi or Lorenz?
Oh, no, there's no debate here.
And I think
Lorenz.
Eric brings up a good point. If it's a back 4, you got to play Lorenz because
if it's a back,
2 center backs instead of 3, and the outside backs can get pulled out wide, so you have to have someone sitting there to create 3v2 against the 2 strikers. But if you go back 3, you don't necessarily.
I'm much more flexible with depending on what the training week looks like for Remedi, how good he's looked, how good he's meshed with the whoever or whatever Frank DeBoer decides to fix this Miles Robinson situation with. I'm more flexible with either one. With Remedi at least starting in a back 3. In a back 3 than I am in a back 4. I just rather have Lorenz there because that Franco Escobar and Pogba are going to go up, and on top of that, that both of them, well, at least Pogba isn't as defensively proficient as we would like him to be. I also say this: Pogba, when we needed him, has stepped up. So I wonder if maybe in a clutch moment like this, he can kind of pull it together and have the game of his life.
He's an enigma.
It's not something I'm expecting.
Are you saying it could be his John Brooks game where, out of nowhere, he scores?
It's not something I'm expecting, but we all kind of, at least super early, had feelings for Pogba.
Feelings.
We got the tinglies inside of ourselves because we thought, okay, well, maybe here's something we unexpected.
And maybe it means his brother will play for us in 5 years.
And then he proved us wrong real quick, but at least there was something there at the beginning. Yeah. Maybe we can rekindle whatever was at the beginning of the relationship.
That's right. I mean, he had some good moments, like you said, Ben. Like there were some times where it's like, oh man, this guy's gonna be really good.
He's good depth.
Yeah, that's what the ultimate thing is. He's a good depth piece to have when your back line is healthy. If you need to bring in like a defensive sub, say you're up 2-1 late in the game, and you bring him in for Pity and then bolster your back line. I mean, he's perfect for depth.
I'm excited to see Pity not start.
Well, that's your next thing.
That's the big.
It's really amazing.
I'm excited to see him not start.
I think he's playing himself out.
You really felt like you knew exactly what this team's best 11 was a month ago, and now we're not so sure. So that's the other part is, and this is something we talked about last week, Eric, was the fact that not only did Emerson Hyndman come in for P.T. Martinez in that last New England match, but Frank DeBoer also experimented with a slightly different style of play where, and if you want to get more specific on it, I had a story about this on Dirty South Soccer that came out a couple of days ago. But basically, you not only did Emerson Hyndman come into the game for or start the match from PT Martinez, but you also tweaked the style of play where instead of having PT Martinez float to Joseph Martinez's right and Hyndman float to his left, or Barco was doing that previously in the season, instead you had Hyndman float left and Barco float underneath, and leave Gressel kind of isolated on the right side of the pitch. So to me, the fact that not only does Hyndman come in for PT, but you experiment with a different style of play against the team you're going to play in the first round of the playoffs, that tells me at the very least that was a real genuine experiment from Frank de Boer to see if this 11 will work. And as far as going forward, you created a ton of chances in that New England match. So even though PT Martinez, obviously, if you're going to build a team around PT Martinez or Emerson Hyndman, you're going to take PT Martinez, but maybe right now at this point, Emerson Hyndman and Martinez's place, and PT Martinez's place, is better for the team and better for the team's tactics.
Do you think it's better for Joseph? Because that's what I'm getting at. I think. What I'm asking is, do you think this is Frank de Boer saying, I want to field the best team around Joseph to get him the ball because he is the one that's on hot form. He's continued to be on hot form. And with PT Martinez in the lineup, much more likely to take a ill-advised shot, much more likely to, I'm just saying maybe this is more of a support Joseph.
I don't know if it's necessarily specifically. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I'm not saying I'm not going to say it's specifically a support Joseph thing because the team just creates more opportunities when Hyndman is in.
That's what I'm saying for in general. But
sure, Joseph happens to be up top, but I think it's not because of Joseph. It's just we're creating more with Hyndman in. I'm going to put Hyndman in.
Right,
but it's got to do with Joseph.
I don't think that it's Hyndman is the exact reason. It's because PT Martinez, like I said, he likes to move to the right of Joseph. That basically just gets in Julian Gressel's way because you want Julian Gressel in space by himself to cross the ball, play the final ball into the box, not so much combining with PT Martinez. Now you have Hyndman and Barco that get out of his way. And who does Gressel get all of his assists to when he's alone out wide? Joseph Martinez. So I think this is about getting the most out of Julian Gressel because he's your best player at assisting, hands down, which also helps Joseph Martinez by correlation. So I think the big reason you're making this move is not because Emerson Hyndman himself is creating more chances than PT Martinez, but because it allows your best chance creator in Julian Gressel to have a little more space and time on the ball on the right side.
And possibly have more rips from the outside of the box or inside the box.
And if you watch that New England game, it was overload the left. You've got all those intricate passers on that side where you have Barco, Hyndman over there, Miram drifts there, Joseph drifts there, Nagby drifts to that side. And then New England has to shift to deal with those players in possession. And boom, you switch to the right, Julian Gressel in space. And I think that's a winner in terms of creating chances against a team like New England. Maybe not later in the playoffs, but against a team like New England that's not very good on the back line. And those Julian Gressel passes can give them a lot of problems from out wide.
You mean when Atlanta's ultimately hosting the Red Bulls in the next round because we all know that's what's going to happen?
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's going to happen too. That's the biggest part of this system is it gets. I think Frank de Boer has realized our best, you mentioned Joseph Martinez getting the most out of him. The way to get the most out of him is to have Julian Gressel get to give him service time and time again. And the way to do that is to just get the heck out of his way so he's 1v1 or even on his own against the outside back and everybody else overloads the other side of the middle. And then if New England, and some teams have done this, if New England say, okay, we're going to commit bodies to Julian Gressel, then it's going to open up tons of space through the center of the pitch, and that's where Barco and Hyndman and Joseph and those guys can eat. So I think it's a very interesting tactical shift in that it allows your best kind of goal combination more opportunities to occur.
My expectation is that a guy like Bruce Arena will have recognized that.
Yeah.
It will change the way he attacks both Gressel, the middle of the field, which is why I ultimately think, I think he'd be stupid not to do this.
You think he'll sit back?
I think he would be stupid not to do this because look how Atlanta United plays against teams that just sit back. It's not pretty. It's
like everybody
incredibly
else.
Effective.
That's why maybe Atlanta takes a step back and dials back their aggression a little bit.
And you can, here's the thing. Well, first of all, are y'all Hyndman or PT?
Hyndman.
Yeah, I'm Hyndman.
Right, so we're going to get killed for saying this. I'm Hyndman too. And the only reason is because it opens up space for Julian Gressel. It's not because he's a better player, I think PT is a player that likes to drift to his right, and Julian Gressel doesn't want anyone in his way.
But see, I like Hyndman because he at least, I mean, maybe the numbers are different. You guys know I don't care about numbers, but at least visually, I feel like he does less dumb stuff.
Well, that's not his game.
He takes Hyman takes much better care of the ball.
He doesn't try harder stuff. I wouldn't say he does more dumb stuff, but he doesn't try. He's more of an efficient.
Right. Hyman's much more conservative. He's much more.
We talked about this earlier. He's like the 10 version of like an attacking version of Lorenowitz because he just plays simple and distributes, but he's more of an attacking center.
And there's nothing wrong with the way Pitty plays. It's just in this game, with the way that the season's gone so far, I don't want that.
Yeah. No, I get that.
I would rather have someone helping feed Barco, helping feed Joseph, helping combination play in the middle of the field. That just doesn't seem to be Pitty right now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it can't be him, but it doesn't seem to be him right now. And then you throw in the Dressel stuff and how wide open he becomes when Hyman plays. And I actually, the times we've seen Miram and Hyman kind of interact with each other on that left side, or when Miram cuts inside, all that stuff looks great to me. I love watching them kind of between him and Barco and Hyman just make the triangles, find Joseph in certain spaces. To me, that looks. I get excited in those moments. I'm like, all right, here comes the build-up. Here comes the build-up. Yeah. Sometimes it happens there. Sometimes it comes off. Sometimes it doesn't. But I don't get that out of Pitty. I don't get that excitement because I'm like, all right, well, here comes the giveaway.
Well, that's the thing. Here's my biggest reason I'm playing Hyman over Pitty, because if New England are going to try and maybe sit back and then catch Atlanta out on a counter, well, what starts counterattacks? Turning the ball over.
Yeah.
I feel like Hyman is way more secure on the ball,
no question.
way more comfortable in being secure on the ball than Pitty is. So ultimately, when you're in the playoff single elimination, you can't give the other team those opportunities, and I feel like Pitty's much more likely to do so.
And then, that's really because New England is going to play on the back foot. They're going to concede possession. The question really is, and I think that the thing is with PT, they're going to try to hit you on the counter regardless, whether they play a little more open like I think they will, or whether they're going to play real super deep like Eric said. They're going to try to hit you on the counter. So a player like PT, and we saw this with Ezequiel Barco a lot last year, that loses the ball, maybe over elaborating on it at times. That's when your team gets caught forward and can get countered. And we saw that throughout the regular season. Again, that's not a criticism of PT's game. It's just that it might not be the best fit for this particular matchup in a single elimination situation. But really, the question, I think, in this match is how New England are going to play. I think that's going to dictate so much of what we see from Atlanta United, because if they do sit back, like Eric says, and really park the bus, it's going to be a little bit slower. It's going to be, maybe very high possession numbers for Atlanta. But if I'm New England, I'm looking back at that last match from the regular season and saying, man, we had 13, 14 shots on goal. We were equal with Atlanta in XG. We're playing that 4-4-2 with two strikers and our wingers playing more advanced with Pania and Heel. And we're just counterattacking the crap out of Atlanta United. And now I say, hey, now Miles Robinson's not in the lineup. And I've got a super pacey player in Pania that can attack, a really technical, fast player in Carlos Heel. Obviously we talked about Gustavo Bo. I'm saying, obviously we accept that we're not gonna have a lot of the ball, but I'm trying to keep guys forward and go counter, not just park the bus.
I should better describe what I'm thinking Bruce Arena will probably do. I'm thinking like sit back and it's like a as soon as they hit midfield, just press the hell out of everyone. So that they can create those turnovers. It's not necessarily just sitting back.
Midfield would be
It's sorry. I should have.
No.
I should explain like that because to just sit back like that would make no sense. You're just waiting for Atlanta to turn the ball over. But if you press them as soon as they start getting to that kind of a comfortable ball circulation.
Yeah, you set your press back.
That's when you press.
I think you do that too.
And boom, you try to hit him on the counter. That's more what I was thinking when I mentioned sit back.
And I think that, and then the real question though then becomes, Eric, is because I think that's what New England will do.
So at that point, Miles Robinson not being in there is going to really hurt Atlanta United.
Yeah.
And you've got a guy like Michael Parkhurst. We got a guy Michael Parkhurst hasn't played much, an LGP who's stabbing at balls like he's trying to kill someone. You've got
that wouldn't kill someone, but it would be very painful if someone stabbed you with your balls.
Damn it, John.
You said it. You said he's trying to stab balls like he's trying to kill someone. So how do you think I anticipated that? How do you think I read that?
Stab at balls.
Stab at balls. Oh yeah, that makes it way. How does that make any? get you off the hook.
Okay, in my mind, the context made sense.
Yeah,
Okay?
it did make sense. I just had to clear
All
you up. But no, so the question is this, because I think that's definitely going to happen. New England's going to set up a little bit of a deeper line. They'll try to press in the midfield area. I think the question is what you do with your two wide players, because you're playing that 4-4-2. New England's stuck with that 4-4-2 the last couple months. They've settled on it. So we assume you're going to see the same formation. But if your two wide players are Pinilla and Carlos Gil, those guys are not going to be the type to come back and defend. So if you do that, you sit in a deeper block, you press it in midfield, like you said, Eric, and then you play your back four, and then you'll probably see the two holding mids probably be Zahibo and maybe Caldwell. I don't know. We'll see in this match. You'll have your two holding mids sit in front of the back four. So you'll have 6 players playing back behind the ball defensively, and you'll have Pinilla and Gil, your two wingers, kind of sit in space, try to start the counter, and then obviously you'll leave Bo and Bunbury, your two forwards, up high. Or you can play a little more defensive with your wide players in Gil and Pinilla and bring them back and play super deep and defend with 2 lines of 4 and try to counterattack through your 2 forwards with should be Bunbury and, of course, Gustavo Bo. So that's the real question. I think there's no doubt that you're going to see New England set up a little bit of a deeper line of confrontation, concede possession in this match, but keep an eye on the wide players because that's really going to dictate how open the match is. If Gil and Pinilla are not instructed to come back, it's going to be a lot like it was at the last match in the regular season where you saw Atlanta United looking very dangerous, but New England also constantly breaking, especially into those wide areas to those 2 players I just mentioned. So New England is definitely going to do what you said, Eric, in my opinion.
I think they're going to do it either
but
way.
The question is, are you going to defend with 2 lines of 4, or are you going to try and defend with 6 or 7 guys and leave the other guys just stay forward and then try to hit those pockets of space and counter that'll be left when Atlanta United attack and are exposed?
I have no doubt the way Atlanta United at times is going to circulate that ball, it's going to force all 11 New England players behind the ball. It's at that point where I'm like, all right, that's where in those moments, you press the hell out of, if I'm New England, if I'm Bruce Arena, you press the hell out of Atlanta United, create that turnover and go the other way.
Yeah.
Because on top of that, you look at the goals Atlanta United scored, mainly the 2 goals, because the Gressel goal, like as awesome as it was, off a corner kick, that could happen anytime.
Yeah.
But the two goals that they did score, it's all, there's way too much space for Atlanta United to kind of cut through. You eliminate that space, Atlanta United doesn't score 3 goals. We talked about how well they played. They also allowed those 3 goals. So I don't think you can continue. I don't think you can look at that match and think, okay, well, we're going to do exactly the same thing and expect a different result.
They're a team I worry way more about.
But you look at that game and you're like, we could have won that game.
Could have,
of course.
Yeah, and I think that's all you can ask for if you're the 7th seed. I don't know. Everyone makes the playoffs now.
Yeah, 7th seed.
Yeah, 12th seed, whatever. That's all you can ask for.
I look at what happens in the playoffs. You look at what Chris Armistead. You look at what Tata Martino did. You assume Bruce Arena is going to
better teams though than New England.
Even now?
No, last year those teams are better teams. It's easier to tweak your system when you have better players, I think. I don't think New England doesn't have good defenders. So if they sit back and defend and you're asking that Shambhala back 4, I mean, I think that's playing into Atlanta United's hands. You when you sit back, one of the things that can go wrong is you make a mistake, and this is a mistake-ridden back 4.
I would love to see Atlanta United find a way to pass his way through 11 guys and all on the final third for Atlanta United, and then find a way to score 2 or 3 goals.
I don't think you're going to see 11 behind the ball. I mean, they're playing 2 forwards. I think you'll see 8 or 9 behind the ball.
I would love for Atlanta United to turn into mid-2000s Barcelona overnight. That'd be great.
The thing is they did the same thing. They played the same way. In Mercedes-Benz last time, 2 weeks ago, whatever. And you still saw the 2 forwards behind the ball.
At times, yeah, but they were certainly not. They were waiting for the counter. They were open.
Yeah, waiting for the counter.
And that's why you saw Atlanta United create as much as they did in that match. It's really fascinating. I mean, because I can see both sides of it. This is just me. If I'm New England and I'm saying I had 18 shots, playing a little more open, not super open, but a little more aggressive, trying to get forward and counter, I'm going to come out and play the same way. I'm going to say I created a big chance with Pinilla in the first 2 minutes of the match last time I came to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. in the match. And then if that happens, then you sit back and play a little more defensive. But I'm New England. I'm looking at that last match. I'm saying this is my best chance to win, as opposed to sitting back and asking my defenders who suck to defend well for 90 minutes. That's just how I see it. I think this game's gonna be nuts. I think it's gonna be like 4-2.
Jeez.
5-2. I think it's gonna be a crazy, crazy game. Bet on the over.
Yeah, I say 3-1 Atlanta, but I mean, dang man, you're saying it's gonna be like the most open game of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think if tactically the team set up the way they did last time, because we talk about this all the time. Atlanta United are super exposed in wide areas all the time because you have Gressel and Miram as your wingbacks. They're attacking wing players. So if New England say, okay, what they did last game, they said, okay, with our wingers, we're not gonna have them come back and defend either. So the wide area is just just completely wide open. Whether it be Gressel bombing in crosses or Pania getting into space or Heel in the wide areas on counterattacks. So it's really an interesting matchup because both teams, whether it be that 4-4-2 of New England or, I guess we're calling it a 3-1-4-2, whatever that Atlanta plays, you're super open in the wide areas, both of them as far as defensive players, because you have wing players that are going to fly forward and not, you would think, show a lot of onus to play defensively. So I just think it's going to be so wide open when you consider the way that these two teams attack.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the quotes that we've heard from Atlanta United players, and they're all talking about how they certainly understand the moment, how the single elimination and focus on the passion, the intensity, the aggressivity.
Who said that? Who said aggressivity?
LTP.
Nice.
Okay, that's okay.
Let's make that a word. Let's make that a thing.
Absolutely.
Aggressivity. Let me see. Yeah, everyone talks about it being a one-off. I would be. Look, I say that I think that there will be some tweaks from. There's certainly been some tweaks for Atlanta United. I think there'll be some tweaks from New England Revolution from the last time they played. It would also make me nervous in a single elimination tournament, in a single elimination game where these tweaks could really cost you. Atlanta's kind of forced to, but for New England, this is kind of where I go back and forth because I'm not necessarily sold in the fact that they're going to just sit back. I'm conflicted because I'm like, all right, well, why would you change everything for one match that means everything for the season? And then you're right, you did have all those opportunities against Atlanta United that could have easily turned the game, shifted the momentum had things just gone New England's way a little bit more so than Atlanta's. I'm just glad that the players. I'm going to be mad if the players don't come out with like a fire and an intensity that we've yet to see. I think this season. That's the one thing I feel like has been missing so far because Almiron brought a lot of that. Pity, his quote unquote his replacement, hasn't brought nearly. He's brought a different version of that looks more like pouting than anything else.
Yeah,
I was gonna say his version of it is much more self-centered.
You see Joseph do it, but you're so kind of used to Joseph doing it that it doesn't have that same impact as someone like Almiron getting in someone's face.
And Joseph only covers so much ground on the pitch because he's sitting on the last defender. Barco.
And Joseph only does it.
I need someone to bring it. I need someone to bring it.
I think because we've heard that a lot all year, I think that's much more correlated to Barco's health and availability because that's when you see. I think that's when you see kind of shades of what we saw last year. To me, on a consistent basis, has been when Barco's been in the lineup. So, I think it might be just a correlation between the intensity appearing higher, certainly looking a little more dangerous going box to box when you have a player like that in the lineup. And Barco is really a guy that sets the table. It's for the players in front of him. He's really not a guy that's going to get a ton of goals and assists. He's going to be the guy who plays the initial ball to see Julian Gressel into the right or things like that. So I think Barco is the one that gives the Atlanta United that kind of offensive identity that maybe we've missed and that maybe we saw last year because of Miguel Almiron.
Can we talk about something we just found on Twitter real quick?
What have you found?
Felipe Cardenas,
my boy,
threw out
from the Athletic
his expected Atlanta United starting 11.
It's basically what Eric and I were throwing out there with one key difference.
Oh, he says 4-3-3. Oh, I have it now.
He says pity over Barco.
So he says Pogba left back, LGP center back, Barker center back, Escobar right back. Nagbe
Lorenowitz and over Remedi.
And Felipe's our boy. Like,
Oh,
no hate against Felipe.
love
but I'm going to criticize his.
Nagbe, Lorenowitz, Hyndman, and then Gressel,
Well, I mean,
Joseph.
the only thing to
criticize, unless you know something we don't, I'm going to criticize the Barco for Pity thing.
Well, he also says in the tweet, Barco for Pity, ? Maybe. That'll be the biggest decision for DeBoer. Agreed. But I don't think
But
it's a
not.
decision.
It's Hyndman or Pity, isn't it?
Well, here's the thing. I think the biggest, it could be the biggest. I would say that, between Hyndman, Barco, and Pitti, which two are you starting?
But I
think that's the.
I don't see how.
I don't think it's a
Barco
decision.
versus
You can't.
Pity.
You can't not play Barco.
We just saw in the last match it's between Hyndman and Pity, right? I mean, the last match just showed us. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but Ezequiel Barco is your easily your most influential player right now. I think it would be ridiculous not to play him in the first.
I'll say outside of the Pitti over Barco thing, if that lineup that Felipe had put out there had Barco in over Pitti, that'd be the exact lineup I would want them to put out there.
You play 4-3-3 with right, as if Gressel's an attacking right wing as opposed to. Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
that's a bit surprising because you just can't. It's
Either way.
between Pity and Hyndman. It's not between Pity and Barco.
It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what the starting 11 is. I think I would have serious questions for Frank DeBoer if it were Pity over Barco, but
Me too.
I'm still again miles away from confident because of the backline situation. I still can't get over the idea that even throughout this entire game, even if we're up 3, I'm still going to be nervous.
Do you want to work in miles away?
Well, that's another reason that New England shouldn't sit back. But
what's that?
I said, do you want to work in miles away from confident anymore in this?
I'm miles away
it's
from
like the
confident.
4th time. And you
Miles away from
There's
confident.
so many different things you can do with that.
All right, name one.
Okay. Hold
No,
on.
go ahead.
I would walk 500 miles just to shut you up, Eric.
See, I like
Isn't that a song?
See, I like the gap between Atlanta and New England is miles.
Right, there we go.
You know, it's like if they play miles,
That's
Atlanta
right.
should be a heavy
That's
favorite.
right.
If they don't, who knows?
That's right.
Come up with your own in the chat, and we'll
What's your best miles pun?
we'll talk about them.
Now I've got that 500 mile song stuck in my head.
Wait, what is it? I would walk.
And I would walk 500 more
Yeah,
to be the man who'd walk 5,000 miles. Yeah. The Pretenders or the Proclaimers or
Wow.
something.
I can't believe he knows who's that band is. That is shocking.
It's the Proclaimers.
Anything else we got on Atlanta United? And
No, I mean, I'm gonna be in the Gulch. You guys be in the Gulch? It's a 1 p.m. It's that early kickoff. I'm getting out there early. I'm
So
getting out there
here's-
like 9:30, 10.
Here's the deal.
I'm gonna probably go down to the faction tailgate.
Here's the deal.
I'm a member of the faction.
I don't know you were a member
I
of
am.
one.
I am.
I enjoy my sleep,
Oh my god.
and
It's playoffs, Eric.
11 might be a
Wow.
little too early for me to get out there.
Josh is telling me to get there at 9:30 and Eric's like 11's too
I'm
early.
getting there early, man. I'm trying to,
I don't get to sleep in on the weekdays.
Jesus Christ. It's the playoffs. Get up for the playoffs.
I like my sleep.
If we lose, it's Eric's lack of commitment.
All right, I'll be.
Well, we can't blame
I'll-
Eric
I'll-
and then blame Eric for the exact opposite reason.
I'll be in the
Sure we
Gulch.
can.
I'll be in
Blame
the
him for
Gulch on
everything.
Saturday. I'll be in the Gulch on Saturday.
Yeah, so we'll probably hit like I said, I'll probably just go to the faction, then I'll just be hanging out on that side because but it should be fun. And the thing to watch for is how does New England handle those wide areas? That's going to determine how wide open the game is. I think it's going to be one you want to be in your seat for the first second.
But the key, I think, to even further that note is how New England uses the wide areas is going to be dependent on how Atlanta lines up.
Absolutely, yep. And so I think we covered that pretty well. Frank DeBoer with a lot of decisions, and Bruce Arena with kind of a fundamental tactical decision to decide how he wants to go at Atlanta United.
Josh, what did you think of Bruce Arena's kind of subtle digs at Atlanta United on the stadium front?
Well, what did he say?
Well, he was saying how it's a nice NFL stadium and that it's the best artificial surface in the league. You know, he just kind of throw little subtle jabs while also, I think, throwing subtle jabs and thinly veiled shots at his own club.
Yeah, that's
and
what
his own team.
that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking because that's one of the. If you're going to make that dig, I think New England is the last.
I was going to say,
I brought it up to the radio show. I was like, how is Bruce Arena going to make
It
that?
might.
dig for Atlanta
You're right,
United?
Sam. That might have been a little.
I think it was a little bit of both, though.
To Robert Kraft.
Well, I mean, he was asked like about the saying, and you don't have to say, yeah, it's a great NFL stadium. It's like that's a shot at Atlanta United too.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it's certainly a shot at his own ownership group as well.
Listen, until the Falcons can figure out what the game of football is, it's Atlanta United Stadium as far as I'm concerned.
I thought you were going to say Bruce Arena took a shot at the U.S. men's national team.
Well, the Falcons are minor league from the way they played to the beat reporter that covers them.
Old D-Lad.
And the attendance in the stands.
It's minor league all the way around.
All right.
Bow ties, baby.
Atlanta United, New England, Fox Sports Southeast. If you can't catch it on, if you can't be there, Univision for the you Spanish speakers. 1 o'clock.
Is this the only round they get local coverage?
It should
I
be.
think so. Yeah. I'm actually surprised it's
because I
know
don't think
the-
there's not an English broadcast, so I think they're doing an extra.
And I know that the
local.
NBA does that in
the
like
first
the first round.
Yeah. I think it's just a random thing because you want an English broadcast as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
You mean they're not going to give us like the Facebook feed?
Oh yeah,
on the
and nobody wants to listen to that.
I've been convinced. Well, I was already going, but I've been convinced even more. Breakfast tailgates. I've never been to one.
Dude,
That's what I'm
breakfast tailgates
saying,
are
man.
awesome, dude.
We're doing the breakfast tailgate.
That's what I'm saying.
Somebody bring
Breakfast.
a big old box of biscuits.
Bring Eric some peanut butter in a cup.
If you're going tailgate biscuits for your, if you're going biscuits for your tailgate, you going Bojangles or Chick-fil-A?
Ooh.
That's a tough one, right?
You know what? For the sake, I will be walking.
go Bojangles.
I will be walking around. If you can find me, I will be walking around with a bag of Bojangles biscuits and a bag of Chick-fil-A biscuits.
Oh, now we're doing
And for
it.
those that walk up to me, I will just pass them out.
Are you actually? You have to wake up even earlier.
100%, I will do this.
You have to wake up even earlier to get the biscuit.
If the people want it, I will do it.
Okay. I want it. I'm a person.
Get the Eric's like, yeah, and I'm going to pay for it out of the goodness of our podcast account.
Yeah, I'm going to put money on Eric not having 2 bags of biscuits in the gulch. But you can prove me wrong. I would love for you to prove it. I love being wrong sometimes.
Should we make it a little
Make it interesting?
friendly wager here? You don't think I'm gonna do
All
it?
right, I'll
What?
buy you,
See, here's the thing. You don't think I'm gonna be at the gulch, period.
Well, that's step 1. Yeah. But
And then step 2, you definitely don't think I'm gonna have at least either bag of biscuits.
Now I need to know how late.
neither bag of biscuits.
I need to know how late Bojangles stays open because I want to go by there after this. I'm hungry.
They have wonderful biscuits. So,
And they're not paying us to say that.
do we want to briefly address the U.S. men's national team just to have a little laugh?
I mean, I can wrap it up in about 2 seconds. Firebird Holter.
See, and Eric and I were talking about this earlier. I don't
Wow.
like necessarily like always advocating for somebody to get fired.
Yeah.
Because
You
getting
guys
fired
want Berhalter
sucks.
out.
You know what I mean? It's like it's not a great thing.
Look, me neither. Like, as long as we all, like half of the Atlanta United fans were on fire, Frank DeBoer, we never were on that.
But for the future of the U.S. men's national team, it ain't going anywhere under this guy.
It is worse than it was before.
Let me ask you guys this though: do you think a different manager makes it any better?
I don't think it makes it worse.
Well, I said this earlier too on radio. It's a fundamental problem. I mean, I was talking about Jurgen Klinsmann, and Jurgen Klinsmann's biggest issue was he was the coach and not the like technical director. If you had made him like technical director of U.S. soccer, where he wasn't coaching because he's not a great tactician, but he is great with people and he is great at sort of. I mean, look at what happened with the German 2006 World Cup team. A lot of that was Jurgen Klinsmann kind of overseeing the development of some of these players and stuff for a longer period of time. Jurgen Klinsmann never got the amount of time he needed or the requisite power that he needed because of the way that U.S. soccer is set up and people like Sunil Gulati not wanting to give up certain aspects of power and things like that. I think and not wanting to give Jurgen Klinsmann complete control of the operation.
He had a lot of control though, man.
But not as but I'm talking about you. This is a
He had
fundamental
more control
problem.
than any manager.
He did,
But
this is a fundamental problem that goes all the way down to the lowest levels of soccer coaching in this country in terms of the way that we develop talent.
That's
So
totally right.
it's not on Berhalter in that sense, and this is a long fix. There's nothing that's going to be a short fix about this, I don't think. But I do think there's managers that could get more out of the talent on this team and get them to the World Cup, which I think is what they have to worry about right now. And then you can worry about the long-term, bigger picture stuff later.
But you know, Sam, I think this is one of the few times where you cannot point to the fundamental systemic issues with U.S. soccer because those issues have lasted for a long time, and you're still not losing to Canada.
But it's like other managers
qualifying for the World Cup. There's a personnel aside from the issues, top-down issues you have at U.S. soccer. this is a particularly bad player pool right now. Hopefully that won't change.
I agree with that.
But
Well,
you should still be beating Canada. They should still beat Canada, and that doesn't do Berhalter.
Berhalter's trying to fit a round peg into a square hole by trying to play a style that he does not have the talent and players to utilize. If you're the manager and you're trying to save your butt in your job, you've got to realize and do what a lot of other U.S. managers have done and say, look, technically we're not on the level with these teams we're playing, so we need to use our athleticism, which in a lot of cases is better than some of the countries they're playing against. We have to use our athleticism, use our physicality, use our defensive ability to, bunker in and hit teams on the counterattack. As unsexy as that is and as unsustainable as that is long term, even right now it's probably still the U.S.'s best chance at getting results.
Try stuff against teams like Cuba. Don't try those same stuff on teams that could potentially beat you.
Right.
Like that.
But Canada did not used to be that team. I mean, Canada
they're much better.
Is far and away different than the Canada of old.
I agree, but if you
it ain't just Dwayne De Rosario.
If you look at the starting 11 for Canada in the U.S., there are two, maybe. I mean, I guess obviously Alphonso Davies and I guess Jonathan David, who would get
David. Yeah.
I don't think anyone else in that Canadian team is getting into that U.S. 11. I mean, and so we can sit here and talk about.
No. The U.S. men's national team is clearly, the player pool itself is clearly gotten worse.
Even for the U.S. standards,
what I'm looking for is someone that's going to be practical about what's going on with the player pool,
right.
with the talent on the field, all that stuff.
Play to the team's strengths. These players have strengths, and they're not being.
And I just think to your guys' point, I think regardless of system, when you get beat like that by an inferior team, you look at the energy level that's not there. And that's
so,
really
that's
when you
more reason.
I think it's really to you guys' point because I don't know. I don't think it matters either way. I think they're just screwed.
The effort against Canada was a joke, and that's why Berhalter, I think, more than any other reason, needs to go because he's lost the locker room.
You're losing.
The players aren't playing for him. There was the effort was pathetic against Canada. Yeah. There was no urgency. There was nothing.
I mean, we can sit here and talk about how much better Canada are, and they absolutely are. But you don't get beat like that by them with that 11 versus their 11 unless you have an issue, a general intensity, energy issue.
Canada's first goal literally went past the entire back line of the United States. All four members could have put in a tackle on that ball and didn't. It trickles to the back post as a tap-in for David, I believe. But the point of that is the effort. Yep. Like, you can't have a ball slide across the entirety of the box with four defenders in it and none of them make a play on the ball.
Canada could have had more, So.
I mean, again, I'm not. You look at the games that the United States has played, and even against the teams that aren't like the Mexicos or the Costa Ricas of CONCACAF, they're still struggling against everything. The only team they beat handily is Cuba.
Take that, communists.
This team is clearly getting worse.
Yeah, I mean that's the main
worse.
thing. That's the main thing. So much worse that I didn't even watch the Canada game, and I can sound like I did because I know what happened.
But
I watched the Democratic debate.
I
didn't watch the game.
It's to the point where I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch this team anymore.
Watch Twitter, bro. It's so fun. Watch the Twitter implosion.
I don't want to watch this team anymore. I don't want the hyperbole of whatever is going to be said after the match. I don't want to listen to post game. I don't want to listen to pregame. I don't want to be like false hyped up by Taylor Twellman or Lexi Lawless about how this team has a chance, or look, neither of those guys are going to falsely prop this team up because they're both as bashed, as angry as we are. But the point is that I didn't want to see that. Like I'm done. Like I don't want to watch anymore.
What I want to see, Eric, which is
I'm out here for another Twellman rant.
When is U.S. soccer?
I'm switching my allegiance to USA Rugby.
When is U.S. soccer?
No, don't do that. They lost all 4 of their matches at the World Cup horribly. Like they got blown out. They're worse than the U.S. soccer team right now. Dude.
So my thing, and this is what pisses me off. This is the reason I don't really follow U.S. men's national team that closely anymore. Is these failures are epic and massive and really unprecedented for the U.S. in the last almost 30 years. And you don't really hear, it doesn't seem there's any panic. It doesn't seem like U.S. soccer has anywhere to anything. You miss the World Cup, that large a nation, in CONCACAF.
And you're on track to miss the next one.
What's the thing? What was the
changed
adjustment?
nothing.
What happened? Thank you. What happened? They missed the World Cup, and what have they done other than hire Greg Barhalter and add Ernie Johnson to the mix? Nothing.
Ernie
They
Stewart.
have
Ernie Johnson.
Thank you.
I would
Ernie
take
Johnson be
I
even
would
better.
take Ernie Johnson.
Yeah, be even better.
They'd be motivated. For
But seriously, they have done nothing to. It's been what, 2 years?
Yeah,
2019.
yeah,
It's been about 2 years. They've done nothing, absolutely nothing to alleviate the problem. They have not done anything. Have they done any changes to the youth system? Have they done anything? No.
Not that we know of.
Not that we know. No.
And the thing is, if I was U.S. Soccer, even if I wasn't changing anything, I would come out and politic like I was, because I would accept this is unacceptable. I have to at least give an idea, to the people out there that we're changing things. Even if I'm so stubborn, I think I'm going to stay with my same ways, I'm going to at least publicly say, yeah, we're trying to fix something, our issues with our system, we're trying to talk about bringing a coach that plays the right style, blah, 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 even if it's a lie. But U.S. Soccer seems to think they can just continue along the same path, and it continues to get worse and worse. And I really feel no affinity towards I don't know if other people feel this way. I feel no real love or connection or anything as a fan. And, it used to be, despite all these systemic issues and things like that, you knew what you were going to get from the U.S. You were going to get a gritty, gutty performance.
We were talking about this earlier. They were going to try hard.
Yeah, and it's almost as if, as the resources have increased for U.S. Soccer, the team and the players have gotten worse. And that says to me almost the more these bigwigs get their hands into things, the more that they're able to do, the more responsibility they get, the worse things become.
Well, you know what this team doesn't have? They don't have a Claudio Reyna. They don't have.
Who has bashed the U.S. system, by the way,
very
recently.
And when I say that, I mean players. What was the one thing that the U.S. could always do against their opposition, even if the opposition was a way better team? Out physical them and outfit them.
Yeah.
That's not what this crop of player has. They're not any more fit than the teams they're playing. They are.
Which is the desire thing, right?
It's
Fit.
obvious desire.
Yeah.
But just physicality as well.
Yeah.
These players aren't nearly as physical as what we're used to seeing as U.S. men's national team fans in terms of a team that never say die attitude, man. It was an ethos almost where we're not as good as you. We know we're not as good as you, but we're as cardiovascularly fit as you. We're stronger than you. We can withhold your attack and then beat you on a counter.
And that mindset mentality has been gone a while.
To be fair on that one, I'm not saying I agree with what you're saying. To be fair, we have been asking for nothing but youth and energy coming off of.
No, I agree. We've been
asking for young players, for new players, for.
But it's not working.
No,
so we need to go back the other way.
I agree. The thing that gets me is that I feel like U.S. Soccer and the U.S. men's national team is like doing their own, like whatever drill you want to think of, and they're doing it wrong, and then they look around, they're like, oh, is that how you do it? And they just kept doing it wrong the entire time because it just seems like there's just no adjustment. There's no.
That's what we were all just saying. I mean, they're not doing it.
There's no. I want to see a sense of urgency from the federation. I don't even care about the players anymore. That'll come.
That's an interesting way to go. We'll talk about the federation. How much of it is the federation's attentions turned to other things?
Like what?
Money.
But
the battle between but listen.
At some point, they're not going to make money.
Oh, they will.
What I'm saying is maybe and I'm not. Let me preface this by saying I fully support what the U.S. women's national team is doing. But do you think that the distraction of that has been weighing over U.S. soccer? That's what Carlos Cordero has mainly had to deal with since taking over as president, is this thing. So do you think that is halting the progress of the other side because there's not as much focus being put on it?
Really screwed.
Well, of course. No, I agree, but I'm just saying it's possible.
But that just has nothing to do with Berhalter or the U.S. men's national team.
Well, did you see
in terms of how they play on the field, in terms of how they actually conduct their business as a professional sports team?
No, I agree, but I'm just saying
for the federation, sure, that's obvious. I'm not going to call it a distraction. That's a thing they're dealing with at the moment. That's got nothing to do with the way the tactics and and the training is set up for the U.S. men's national team, the players themselves, I don't think they care about that.
Well, and here's another.
Not in the sense that it's going to affect their everyday play.
Well, here's another issue. The Glenn Crooks, who does play-by-play for NYCFC and also has a Sirius XM show, tweeted this earlier this afternoon. Says a future guest who has worked with Tab Ramos will tell his show, The Coaching Academy, that Ramos should have been the interim U.S. men's national team coach, but wasn't because of fear that Ramos would do well and disrupt Jay Berhalter, and U.S. Soccer's plan to hire his brother after the cruise season. If that's the case, then we're just outright being lied to by the U.S. Soccer Federation when they said Jay Berhalter had nothing to do with it. Which I don't think
long served.
Which I don't think anyone believes anyway.
Who's the guest?
It doesn't say.
How is the guest tied to the situation?
It just says they've worked with Tab Ramos.
It's an old goal.
Of course, I mean, we need to hear this first. But I'm just saying, if that is true, then yeah, the U.S. Soccer thinks we're all idiots, if that's the case. Because they're out here like putting these statements like Jay Berhalter had nothing to do with the hiring of Greg Berhalter.
Right.
And it's like, well, I didn't believe that anyway. But I mean, for them to just bold-faced lie to you, it's like if you're a fan of U.S. Soccer and this is the kind of thing that's going on, what can you do? Stop going to the games? Like stop supporting them because things aren't going to change unless they hear something.
It's way better to just watch Twitter implode. It's so fun.
That is good.
So fun. It's so fun.
All right, where they can find you guys on social media?
You can find me at JoshB914.
At Sanjay Franco over here.
You can find me at Eric T. Quintana. You can find the podcast at MOTS Podcast. Donate to your Bojangles and Chick-fil-A biscuits.
That's right, yes.
By going to patreon.com/MOTS Podcast.
By the way, I do have one more thing. I wanted to send a shout out to Joseph Martinez because, we at Dirty South Soccer have a partnership with a company I work for called Breaking Tea.
Get your shirt.
And yeah, if you saw Joseph's Instagram story the other day, he got his hands on a couple of our Build the Statue t-shirts that we made. And, you can head over to dirtysouthsoccer.com and there's a link that you can use to get the shirt if you want one. But yeah, for Joseph to show some love, I mean, that when I started working in this company, that was a big passion project of mine, was getting something for Joseph Martinez because of how much we all love Joseph Martinez. And this shirt turned out really well. And, when he puts it on his Instagram story with a bunch of fire emojis, you're doing the right thing. So I was very happy for Joseph to appreciate the hard work that we put in over there, and hopefully we'll be selling many of these as Atlanta United get their way through the MLS Cup playoffs.
All right, the game is on Saturday. We will probably be back next Wednesday for the radio show, so make sure you're on top of that.
Hopefully with a win.
Hopefully we're not doing a post-mortem on Wednesday. We'll also have a podcast next week, either Wednesday or Thursday.
Well, the game's Thursday, so.
Oh, well, you know what? We'll probably do it Wednesday.
Yeah.
Josh, I don't think your microphone's
Well, you know what? We'll do it
I
Thursday.
don't
know. We'll figure it out. Podcast might be a little bit different next week because of the timing of the game.
We'll figure it out.
Also depends on if Atlanta United's
We will do a podcast next week.
Just don't know the date yet. All right.
Yes.
Until next time. See you later, Atlanta.
Did you turn it off?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Good night, guys.
Bye. Have a beautiful
Come
time.
hang out with me on Saturday in the Gulch. I'm always walking around with no friends.
With Eric's